Hello and welcome back to my channel. And we'll now start the international relations from PT365 updated part 1. So, first of all, moving towards the multilateral organizations, we have the G20 summit. G20 summit was held in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, and the theme was building a just world and sustainable planet. So, as you might all know, that in 2023 it was held in India, New Delhi. So the theme was at that time was Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. So this time it's in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. So what all happened in Rio de Janeiro? So the Rio Summit. There's also a Rio Summit for environment, like the Rio's Earth Summit in 1992. So don't confuse it with that. The Rio de Janeiro Summit for G20 marked the first time the African Union participated as a full-time member. So the African Union was inducted into the G20 in the year 2023 when the G20 was held in India. So this is the third global South host after Indonesia and India. So the next G20 will be held in South Africa. Brazil, India and South Africa form the Troika of G20. These countries are also part of the IPSA. India, Brazil, South Africa and BRICS grouping. So Brazil, India and South Africa are the Troika. And there is this global alliance against hunger and poverty. So in order to accelerate global efforts to eradicate hunger and poverty. The goal is to reach 500 million people with cash transfer programs in low-income countries by 2030 and to provide high-quality school meals. So India is also one of the members. Dedicated funding is announced as of now. It just connects the countries with donors and technical support. So G20 does not have a permanent secretariat headquarters. Initially, it was found as a forum for finance ministers and central bank governors to discuss global economic and financial issues. After that, it was upgraded to the levels of the head of the states or governments in the wake of the 2007 subprime crisis or the 2007 global economic crisis and financial crisis. So the decisions are not legally binding. So this is a point to be noted. So these are the 19 countries who are the members of the uh, G20. Uh, African Union was recently inducted from 2023. The European Union is also a member. Then it plays an important role in shaping and strengthening global architecture and governance on all major international economic issues. So as a result of it, India Middle East Economic Corridor was announced under PGII. PGI, which is an initiative of the G7 nations. Then the summit is held yearly. It's an annual summit under the leadership of rotating presidency. The presidency is supported by Troika. Troika basically the previous, current, and incoming president. So as we have read about the Troika here of G20, Brazil, India, and South Africa. So Brazil is the previous one, then current was India, then incoming South Africa. I guess in no, like Ash told it wrong. Brazil was the current one. Then in 2023 was India. The 2024 Brazil, 2023 India. Next will be in South Africa. So the key takeaways from the summit: social inclusion and fight against hunger and poverty. So as we read earlier, Global Alliance Against Hunger and Poverty, Global Coalition for Local and Regional Production, Innovation, Equitable Access, launched to promote access to vaccines, diagnostics, and other health for neglected disease and vulnerable persons. So, you might have heard of the term tropical neglected diseases. So, basically, the diseases whose cure is not yet found, or like the researchers have not been undertaken in order to find a cure for some of the diseases which are mostly found in the tropical areas. So, as most of the pharmaceutical companies have their bases in the global north, so the tropical diseases which are endemic to the areas of to the tropics face a brunt of not having the apt technology as well as the right knowledge in order to fight over these diseases. So, in the recent summit, Global Coalition for Local and Regional Production, Innovation and Equitable Access was taken undertaken, under which uh, they would also undertake works for neglected diseases and vulnerable persons. The headquarters of the G20 is in Addis Ababa, which is the capital of Ethiopia. Sorry, my bad. The capital of African Union. As we've read, G20 does not have a permanent secretariat. So the capital of, or sorry, what the headquarters of the African Union is in Addis Ababa, which is the capital of Ethiopia. So this African Union was launched as a successor to the Organization of African Unity, when there are five member states that make up the countries of the African continent. And then the usual aim which all of these corporations have, like integration, cooperation, citizen inclusion, as such. So, notably, AU has recently suspended Niger from all of its activities due to a military coup. India is also engaged with two other groups of Africa, that is AFCFTA and CASSEU, so African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, as well as South African Customs Union. So both relate to the trade aspect. So like AFCFTA, the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, was signed in order to create large free trade areas in the world. So it was signed in 2018 between 55 African nations. So India is engaging with the AFCFTA. Then India is also encouraging with SACU, which is South African Customs Union. It's a customs union among five countries of South Africa, Southern Africa, not South Africa, South Africa itself is a country. So five countries which are South Africa, Namibia, Lesotho, Eswatini, and Botswana. So founded in 1910, SACU is the world's oldest customs union. Moving towards the new development bank. So India has contributed nearly $2 billion to the BRICS New Development Bank. So New Development Bank is an initiative of BRICS. So the headquarters of the New Development Bank is in Shanghai. The agreement signed in 2014 during the sixth BRICS summit in Fortaleza. So it's a result of the Fortaleza agreement between Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. The membership is also open to members of the United Nations. Its purpose is to mobilize resources for infrastructure and sustainable development projects in emerging markets and developing countries. So EMDCs, like in order to facilitate towards their growth, in order to contribute towards their growth. Then the initial authorized capital is $100 billion. So the newly elected members in 2021 were Bangladesh, UAE, Egypt, Uruguay. These were included as the new NDB members. So Bangladesh, UAE, Egypt, and Uruguay. So the voting power of the founding members will not fall below 55% of the total voting power. So the initial members or the founders would always have a majority voting power. India's regional office in 2022, which is the Gujarat Infrastructure Finance Tech City, the GIFT, was established. This is where NDB's India regional office was established in the Gujarat GIFT city. This Gujarat International Finance Tech City. So BRICS, about there's a recent update that Brazil, acting as the chair of the group, announced that Indonesia has been admitted as a full member of the BRICS bloc. Also, Nigeria has been admitted in the ninth BRICS partner country, joining Belarus, Bolivia, Cuba, Kazakhstan, Malaysia, Thailand, Uganda, and Uzbekistan in the grouping. In the Asian Development Bank, the Asian Development Bank is like the genesis is in 1966. It's a multilateral development financing institution whose headquarters is in Manila, Philippines. This was in the news because India and the Asian Development Bank signed a $500 million loan to aid sustainable infrastructure projects. The aim of the Asian Development Bank is to achieve a prosperous, inclusive, resilient, and sustainable Asia and the Pacific. So, as the name says, Asian, so around the region of Asia and Pacific. It provides loans, grants, technical assistance to member countries, and focuses on sectors like infrastructure, education, health, etc. India is also a founding member. Then ATB's top shareholders first is the Japan and the US, 15.6% each, then China, then India, then Australia. So ADB is also acting as a TAPI secretariat since 2003. ADB has been instrumental in the process of the TAPI pipeline. So TAPI pipeline basically in order to facilitate the supply of natural gas between Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, and India. So moving towards comprehensive and progressive agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership. This was news because the UK has recently become the first European country to join the Indo-Pacific Trade Bloc, the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership. Also, the Niti Aayog pitched for India's membership in a regional RCEP, basically Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, and this also. So it is among the few countries not part of larger agreements like RCEP and the Trans-Pacific Partnership. So India is not a member of this, not a member of this as well. So Niti Aayog is basically trying to pitch in India so that we could also enter into this RCEP, the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. So about the Trans-Pacific Partnership, it's a free trade agreement across the Pacific signed in Santiago, Chile. So these are the members. India and the US are not the members. So for Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, it's the world's largest free trade agreement by members GDP. So in terms of the GDP, the top contributors basically are in the RCEP, world's largest trade agreement by members GDP. Anyways, not about each equal or not about the individual's GDP, which I told earlier. It's mostly about an agreement with a cumulative GDP of the members. So RCEP entered into force on 2022. The 10 original parties were Australia, Brunei, Cambodia, China, Japan, Laos, New Zealand, Singapore, Thailand, and Vietnam, later joined by South Korea, Malaysia, Indonesia, and Philippines. What we must remember is that India and the US are not the members. The other organizations which were in use, first one is the International Cooperative Alliance, the ICA. So the International Cooperative Alliance (ICA) Global Cooperative Conference is being organized in India for the first time in the 130-year-long history of ICA. So this was founded in 1895 in London when India was still a colony or occupied by British. So it's a global organization that unites, represents, and serves cooperatives worldwide. So in India also we have laws related to cooperatives, like we have a dedicated part 9B for the cooperatives. There was an act in 2011 in order to incorporate these uh, cooperatives. It is also a part of our DPSPs and uh, like there's a separate ministry of cooperatives as well, which comes under the the Union Home Minister, if I'm not wrong. So the function is that it serves as an apex body for cooperative management, providing a global platform for collaboration, knowledge exchange, and coordinated action. So the conference would be organized in India for the very first time. And the UN Peace Building Commission. India has been re-elected to the UN Peacebuilding Commission. So India, as we have read earlier, is one of the top contributors to the UN peacekeepers, and now India has been re-elected to the UN Peacebuilding Commission. So it just reiterates India's efforts towards restoring peace in the world and like uh, holding the beacon of the light of peace. Anyways, so the UN Peacebuilding Commission was established in 2005. It's an intergovernmental advisory body that supports peace efforts in conflict-affected areas. So there are 31 member states elected from the General Assembly, Security Council, ECOSOC. The top financial contributing countries and true contributing countries to the UN system are also the members. So we fall into the top contributing countries, uh, top two contributing countries as in terms of the UNPK or the Blue Helmets. The mandate is to bring together all the relevant actors to marshal resources and advise on strategies for post-conflict peace building. India is one among the largest contributors of uniformed personnel to UN peacekeeping, with more than 6,000 personnel currently deployed in missions worldwide. We have also contributed, uh, Indian women soldiers have also been part of the UN peacekeeping efforts, and mostly recently in Liberia. Then the UN Disengagement Observer Force (UNDOF), the United Secretary General, recently paid tribute to Brigadier Amitabh Jha, who was serving with the UN Disengagement Observer Force (UNDOF) at the Golan Heights. So this Golan Heights is related to the country Israel. So Golan Heights was hitherto a part of Syria, but then in a conflict between Israel and Syria, now the Golan Heights are like these Israel claims these to be a part of Israel only. Golan Heights. So River Jordan also starts from these, or like also drains or flows from the Golan Heights. So for the UNDOF or the Disengagement Observer Force, the headquarters are in Camp Fauar, the Syrian side of the Golan Heights. Established by the USSC in 1974 following the 1974 disengagement of forces agreement between Israel and Syria. The mandate is to maintain the ceasefire and supervise the area of separation, demilitarized buffer zone, supervise the area of limitations where Israeli and Syrian troops are restricted, like in the Golan. The mandate is renewed every 6 months by the UNSC and has been renewed till June 2025. India is the largest military contributor to the UN disengagement observer force. UNDF is stationed along the Alpha Line, the Israeli line, and the Bravo Line, the Syrian line in the Golan Heights. So, this area is truly very contentious now. Then UNRWA, which is the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine refugees in the Near East. So India recently released a second tranche of USD 2.5 million to United Nations RWA, Relief and Works Agency, fulfilling its annual contribution of USD 5 million for 2024-25. So the headquarters of the UNRWA is in Amman, Jordan, and Gaza. So Gaza, the Gaza Strip, about which we have been reading since October 2023. So the UNRWA was formed by UNGA resolution in 1949 following the 1948 Arab-Israel War to carry out direct relief and works program for Palestinian refugees. It's funded almost entirely by voluntary contributions from the UN member states. It has also been extended until 30th June 2026. It operates in Jordan, Lebanon, Syria, the Gaza Strip, the West Bank also, where the Palestinians live, including East Jerusalem, the disputed capital. And then the United Nations International Justice Council. So retired Supreme Court Judge Madam B. Loker has been appointed as the chairperson of the UN International Justice Council. So the General Assembly has basically established the IJC, International Justice Council, to ensure independence and accountability in the United Nations internal justice system. It consists of 5 members, and members are appointed by the Secretary General of the UN. The council starts with finding suitable candidate for vacant judge positions in the UN Dispute Tribunal and the UN Appeals Tribunal. Also provides its views on the administration of justice system to the General Assembly. So the UN International Justice Council. Then the UN Habitat. The UN Habitat has released the World Cities Report of 2024 Cities and Climate Action. The World Cities Report, Cities and Climate Action. Highlighting the critical role of cities in addressing climate change and promoting sustainable urban development. So the headquarters of UN Habitat is in Nairobi in Kenya. It was established in 1978 following the Habitat First, which laid the foundation of the United Nations Human Settlements Programme, the UN Habitat. It's mandated by the UNGA to promote socially and environmentally sustainable towns and cities. So it like collaborates with governments, the governmental agencies, civil societies, academic institutions, private sector. So it publishes the World Cities Report, State of the World Cities. So the UN Habitat is the publisher basically. So we need to remember that the UN Habitat publishes World Cities Report. That's it. Then the places in use, as we were discussing earlier, Golan Heights. So this was good news because Israel plans to expand settlements in Golan Heights. So as we have seen earlier, that there are two lines, basically Alpha Line and a Bravo line. So the Alpha Line was for Israel side and the Bravo was for the Syrian side over here, where the UNDOF is stationed in the Golan Heights. So this right here, you could see the Jordan River also flows through this Gordon Heights. Sorry, the Golan Heights. I just remembered Gordon from The Dark Knight. So I just recently saw that movie, so that just came up. Anyways, so this right here, this water body is the Sea of Galilee, which then drains into the Dead Sea. So like the Jordan River then flows through the Sea of Galilee and then goes to the Dead Sea. This Golden Heights, this little area, a part of it is under UN control. Then, as we all know, Syria, the capital of Syria is Damascus. Capital of Israel, as they say, is Jerusalem, but most of the work are done in Tel Aviv. But their official, like according to the country, their capital is Jerusalem. So, Israel captured Golan Heights from Syria in 1967, Six-Day War, and annexed it in 1981. Not recognized internationally. This annexation is not recognized internationally. So this part is not It is nationally considered as a part of Israel. So it is located in the southwestern Syria. Golan Heights is a rocky plateau bordering Israel, Lebanon, and Jordan. So you can see right over here is Lebanon, then Syria, as obviously it was a part of Syria and now it's a very contentious zone. So it borders with Israel, Lebanon, and Jordan. So this annexation of Golan Heights by Syria is not internationally recognized. It is bounded by Jordan River and Sea of Galilee, Mount Hermon, in the north. So this part is Mount Hermon. Seasonal Wadi al-Raqqad and Yarmouk River to its south. Its strategic importance of it is that it helps in monitoring Syrian movements. Syria's capital Damascus is only 60 kilometers away from it, so it's visible from the heights, from Golan Heights. It provides a natural buffer against any military advancement from Syria. So it uh, acts as a buffer so that you could actually monitor the military movements and get yourself prepared. So this is why it is of utmost security as well as strategically important to Israel. Then the Philadelphia corridor, we've read about it in the previous uh, the previous video for PT365 as well. This Philadelphia corridor basically is between the Gaza Strip and Israel. So this was in news because recent ceasefire terms between Israel and Hamas also stipulate Israel's withdrawal from Philadelphia corridor. So this is the uh, Sinai Peninsula part of Egypt, and this Philadelphia corridor forms boundary between Egypt as well as the Gaza Strip. The corridor was initially established in the 1979 Israel-Egypt Peace Treaty. It's a narrow strip of land along the Gaza-Egypt border. It serves as a critical border area between southern Gaza Strip and Egypt's Sinai Peninsula. And then the Latakia port here, this right here you can see the Latakia port is located on East Mediterranean coast on Gold Harbor with an extensive agricultural hinterland in West Syria. So this right over here is the Mediterranean Sea over here, and then we have the Latakia port in Syria. So the recent context is that recently Israel's military struck several key Syrian military sites, including naval vessels at the Latakia port. So there are other Mediterranean ports of Syria which are Tartus and Banias. So this you can see that this is Banias, and we're seeing Latakia. Then Syria, the whole country of Syria basically. So as we read earlier, the capital is Damascus, and we read about the Golan Heights earlier. So you can see the neighbors of Syria are Turkey, Lebanon, Israel, Jordan, and here there is the Mediterranean Sea. So we've also read about the coast of Syria, which is in the Mediterranean Sea. Iraq is this one is Iraq, which is also one of the neighbors. So recently, Hayat Tahrir al-Sham (HTS), a rebel militia, seized Aleppo, the second largest city of Syria. So the city of Aleppo was seized by Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, the HTS militia. The city is located on the east coast of the Mediterranean Sea in southwestern Asia. So the boundaries with the various countries as we discussed earlier. So important cities first is the river Damascus, along which flows the river Barada. Then Homs and Palmyra are also some of the places in Syria. So there have been some international developments as well. So the case is featuring international developments. First is Nicaragua. So this right here is Nicaragua, a country in Central America. So this until here it is North America, so we'll call it North America only in terms of the continent wise. So it's a country located in Central America and others to be Central American republics. It is news because India and Nicaragua signed an umbrella agreement to implement the quick impact projects. So its bounded, like its boundaries uh, are, like it's bounded by Honduras to the north. This is the country of Honduras, and Costa Rica to the south. Then there is this Caribbean Sea towards its east and the Pacific Ocean towards its west. Then Guyana, one of the countries in South America. So it's a neighbor of Venezuela, Suriname, and over here Brazil. So the context is that the Indian Prime Minister paid a visit to Guyana and signed various agreements to strengthen bilateral ties. Guyana is a member of the CARICOM, Caribbean Community, and the Commonwealth of Nations. Commonwealth of Nations basically the erstwhile colonies of Britain. So I will discuss about the territorial boundaries and the maritime boundaries. It opens into the Atlantic Ocean, and this here is Georgetown in Guyana. So Dominica, so it's in the Caribbean Sea, Dominican Republic. The context is the Commonwealth of Dominica honored Prime Minister of India with the Dominica Award of Honor. It's a member of the Commonwealth since 1978. It's an island country of the Lesser Antilles in the Eastern Caribbean Sea, the only island with a relatively large and distinctive group of Carib Indians. So the Carib Indians reside over here. Then Greenland was new basically because President Trump wants to buy it from Denmark. So Greenland, two-thirds of it lies in the Arctic Ocean. So over here, lying in the northern Arctic Ocean, it's the world's largest island. So you might have heard about the anomaly in the naming of Greenland as well as island. Greenland is mostly situated like with ice, mostly covered with ice. So the nearest European country to Greenland is Iceland over here. So as we read earlier, two-thirds of the country, two-thirds of the island lies within the Arctic Circle, and it is separated from Canada's Ellesmere Islands to the north by only 16 miles. So it has world's second largest ice sheet after Antarctica. Northeast Greenland National Park is the world's largest national park over here. So Northeast Greenland National Park is over here and it's the world's largest national park. Greenlanders experience 24 hours of sunlight in the summer. So like as you might all know our earth is tilted and in its axis. So this is the tilted axis. So when there is summer, this part of earth is covered with the sun most part of times. So let's imagine this one is the topic of Cancer. Sun is the equator. This is topic of Cancer. This is equator. This is topic of Capricorn. So the topic of to the north, or as the sun moves towards the north of to topic of Cancer, these regions basically experience more sunlight. So that is why Greenlanders experience 24 hours of sunlight in the summer. So it's day every time. Every day is day. Every time is day. Anyways, so the country of Liberia. The capital is Monrovia. It lies in the Gulf of Guinea. You could see this water body right here is known as the Gulf of Guinea, and it's surrounded by the Atlantic Ocean. India and Liberia hold first foreign office consultations, deepen and diversify bilateral ties. Africa's oldest republic is Liberia and never subjected to colonial rule. So it's never been subjected to colonial rule despite being in Africa. Land boundaries are with Sierra Leone, Guinea over here to the south, and Cote d'Ivoire. So, as we read earlier, maritime boundaries Atlantic Ocean. Dusty and dry Hermetim desert winds blow from Sahara, bringing relief from high relative humidity. So, dusty and dry Hermetim desert winds, which originate from Sahara, flow over here. Then Norway, sorry, one of the Scandinavian countries. India and Norway discuss investments under the European Free Trade Agreement Pact. About two-thirds of Norway is mountainous, and much of its indented coastline lie carved by deep glacial fjords. Fjords was also one of the like it was a question came in fjords in the PYQs. So fjords are very deep glacial troughs filled with seawater and making up shorelines in high altitudes. For example, shown the ford, etc. So like glacial troughs, you might all know crest and troughs. So these are troughs, these are the crest. I think I said wrong. Crest, trough. So anyways, I'm kind of sick right now, so my brain keeps on buffering. But I need to complete this very document. So first of all, moving towards Slovenia, the capital is Ljubljana. Sorry, pronounced it very wrong. Ljubljana, I guess, since it being European, Ljubljana. So India and Slovenia announced a 5-year plan to strengthen their scientific and technological collaborations in various areas. It's located in Central Europe, as you could see over here. Located over here in Central Europe. Boundaries are with Austria, Hungary, Croatia, and Italy. It is a coastline along the Gulf of Venice. And then moving towards Nigeria. So Nigeria is also one of the countries in the Gulf of Guinea. So this was in news because the Indian president conferred Nigerian National Award Grand Commander of the Order of Nigeria. So it has its boundaries with Niger, Chad, Cameroon, and over here with Benin. So it opens into the Gulf of Guinea. Major lakes are Lake Chad, freshwater, Lake bordering Nigeria, Chad, and Niger. So Nigeria is the largest oil and gas producer in Africa, and it is the most populous country in Africa. So mostly all the African American kids in US TV series, all of them basically belong from Nigeria only because every other episode where they actually show their lineage, it eventually roots into Nigeria. Be it like you name it, you name any series, you will find them that they belong to Nigeria only. So, for example, Eric, he was from Nigeria. Then Lesotho, so it's like an enclave country within the boundaries of South Africa. So it's completely surrounded by South Africa, you could see. So the context is that India sent 1,000 metric tons of rice to Lesotho as humanitarian aid to support food security and nutrition. It's a landlocked country located entirely within South Africa. It's also known by the name the Mountain Kingdom. So the Mountain Kingdom is what Lesotho is known for. Another name for Lesotho basically. So you could see Eswatini also is one of the countries which is landlocked and it is also like within South Africa and borders with Mozambique. Then the Triton Island. So Triton Island was in news because a recent satellite imagery reveals a significant military build-up by China in the Triton Island. So it's located in the Passes in South China Sea. It's also known as the Shisha, Shisha Islands in China. So this right here is the location of the Triton Islands. It's located in the Parcel Islands in the South China Sea. So these islands and this area of South China Sea has actually been very contentious for the past years, basically because of the uh, claims of China and the other countries, other neighboring countries. So it is effectively controlled by China, but is also claimed by Vietnam and Taiwan. China took control of the parcels from South Vietnam following 1974 naval clash. Moving towards South Korea, the capital of South Korea is Seoul, and all the BTS army, as well as the BTS army basically, and that band called Blackpink, all of their fans basically want to go to South Korea anyhow. Anyways, the parliament in a unanimous vote and impeached Yoon, accusing him of rebellion. So it's located in the East Asia, on the southern half of the Korean Peninsula. So this over here is the Korean Peninsula, as you can see. In the north is the North Korea, and then the South Korea. So its boundaries, it shares its land boundary with North Korea, and the maritime boundaries with Japan, and over here with China. So you could see border is with North Korea along the 38th parallel, separated by the Demilitarized Zone or the DMZ, bounded by the Yellow Sea, East Sea of Japan, and the Korea Strait. So with strengthened military cooperation, US has deployed THAAD, the Terminal High Altitude Air Defense Systems. So this is also one of the air defense systems, just like our S-400, which has shown enormous capability and like bore million fruits because of being so capable of destroying all those missiles which were fired from the western frontier of India. So then comes the Re-aim Responsible AI in the Military Domain Summit of 2024, which was held in Seoul, which announced a legally non-binding blueprint for action to govern responsible use of AI in the military. So moving towards the Kerch Strait, so this we could see is the representation of the Kerch Strait. So this region, Crimea, right over here, was annexed by Russia in the year 2014, and as a result of which it was suspended from the G8 nations, and now there are only G7 nations. So recently, Russian tankers split in storms, spilling oil in the Kerch Strait waterway. So it was news because of the oil spill. It's a straight, narrow waterway between two pieces of land that connects two large water bodies. This is basically a definition of strait. It's a narrow waterway between two pieces of land that connect two large water bodies of water, like the Path Strait. So right over here you could see this is the Sea of Azov. Then you have the Black Sea. And this right over here is the Russia's Crimean Bridge and the Kerch Strait. So it is located in the eastern part of the Crimean Peninsula, connecting the Black Sea and the Sea of Azov. This over here is Ukraine. Mariupol of Ukraine was also in news. So it's a key route for export of Russian grain and for export of crude oil, fuel, oil, LNG, etc. Then comes the Java port, which has been very instrumental, or which was developed as a very instrumental uh, port by India, so that we could actually enter the Central Asia. We could actually gain access to the Central Asian route. So the Ministry of External Affairs delegation offers Afghanistan access to Chabad port during a meeting with the defense minister. So offers Afghanistan access to Chabad port. So it sits at the mouth of the Gulf of Oman over here. The Gulf of Oman is this one. This right here is the Arabian Sea. So Java port is basically in Iran. Then this is the Gwadar port in Pakistan, which is developed by China because of the growing influence of China. So there are two distinct ports in Chaba project: the Shahid Beheshti and Shahid Kalantari. It gives India an alternative route that bypasses Pakistan, which does not allow Indian land access for trade with Afghanistan and Central Asia. Although with Afghanistan we share a border, like the Wakhan corridor is a border between Afghanistan and India, but Pakistan has seized it, or Pakistan is basically unruly, has been very unruly, and this has been the POK, the Pakistan occupied Kashmir. In Iran and India both recognize Chabahar Port's pivotal role in the International North-South Transport Corridor project. So, like connecting the north and the southern parts, the INSTC. Then comes the Panama Canal. Right over here, you can see this is the Panama Canal. So, earlier you have to like go if you need to like transgress or go beyond the Americas, you would have to travel in this very order in order to reach the New York City. But now the new route basically reduces the travel time, reduces the distance as well, and this could basically uh, reduce the resources needed in order to facilitate trade as well. So US President Donald Trump threatened to reimpose US control over the Panama Canal. It's a 82-kilometer artificial waterway that connects Pacific and the Atlantic Oceans through the Panama. So this right here is the Pacific, this is the Atlantic, which is actually connecting this. It is one of the most strategic artificial waterways in the world, the other being the Suez Canal. So Suez Canal in the Sinai Peninsula. It shortens the journey of ships between east and the west coast of USA by 8,000 miles, around 22 days. So this is very significant. We are moving towards the Gulf of Mexico. So recently there has been a proposal to change the name of Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America because they want that this area right over here, since it's like the coast of USA, so just change it to Gulf of USA, Gulf of America. But what the Gulf of Mexico, the it's a boundary, maritime boundary for USA, Mexico, and Cuba. Cuba right over here. It connects to the Atlantic Ocean through the Straits of Florida and to the Caribbean Sea via the Yucatan Channel. The draining rivers are Mississippi, Rio Grande. The control and ownership is shared by US, Mexico, and Cuba, three states who share the boundaries as well. Then the significance that it has a large continental shelf, oil and natural gas extraction, fisheries, and is prone to hurricanes and twisters due to warm waters and atmospheric conditions. So everything has a con. Anyway, so with this we have come to an end on our discussion for today. I'll see you guys in the next one where we try to cover this very document in that video. Till then, see ya, bye, and thank you for watching.